Tank Nerds, Lottie here again. We're back on the Jeep, and today we're going to be having a look at the headlights for the Jeep as I'm doing the wiring for it, and one of my favorite little hidden features. I'll show you that right now. As you can see, we have been rather busy, except Cookie, which has been conveniently sleeping in the most inconvenient of all spots at all times. But yes, we're pretty much done with the vast majority of the Jeep. We're just waiting on the engine and gearbox to come back so I can slime it back in, but most of the interior is now done. We've got our groovy upholstery, and I've only got two dials to come back, and I've just been fixing the internal glove compartment. Regardless, we're not talking about that. We're talking about... Hello, Cookie. She's grooming herself. We're talking about the headlight and why it has one of the grooviest features. Ow! I just sat down on the wrong thing. Why it has one of the grooviest features on the Jeep. So I have fitted the left-hand headlight. To see what it looks like when it's not attached, here we have the right-hand side where it's missing. So this is the front grille. We're on the back side of it, so I'm currently sat where the engine would be. There's two little bolts there, and there's the opening for the headlight. As you can see with one I have prepared earlier, I've only loosely bolted it in. And yes, before anyone asks, there is, some paint missing just in some little areas. We're only our first coat down. There's still more to do. I am currently doing all the electrical, so a lot of this can be patched up. Anyway, not talking about that. Picture, dear viewer, you are in the middle of a desert with this beautiful Jeep, or perhaps in a forest or a, bush road at night. You're not particularly bright this particular day. You're maybe potentially inebriated. Never drink and drive. For one reason or another, your engine or something in the engine bay is faulty. Something's going wrong, and you have zero light source. Maybe your phone is dead or something like that. Also remember, this is a 1944 Jeep, so I don't believe they had mobile phones around that time. Jokes aside, what do? You leave your headlights turned on, as you should be driving with your headlights on during the night. Then, because this front grille goes up against that guard there, this is held in by that little wing nut over there. You undo your little wing nut and you push it out of the way, and then by some miracle, I completely lost my depth perception there. I'm looking at this through the camera phone. You pivot your headlight up and over. Ordinarily, you would actually have a functioning headlight around about this area, but again, I am halfway through modifying it because this is a 6-volt headlight globe that was in it. We are not doing 6-volt because 6-volt is stupid. We're going to 12-volt, so I've had to just slightly modify it for a new seal beam unit. Anyway, you are smart enough to actually have headlights, and they are currently on. Now that you've flipped it up, you can also do the other side if you want. You now have full head beam vision, headlight beam vision into your engine bay. Is it the best? Potentially not. The argument can be made that you've only got, one angle and stuff way over in this corner, over here might get shades on it, whatever. You're not the smart person in this scenario. You are just lucky that you decided to buy a Jeep from the Second World War, and you have the original flip-up headlights. Miata, eat your heart out. I love Miatas. Don't abandon me, Miata fans. Anyway, yes, I think it's a groovy, fun little sort of hidden feature that is often overlooked Now, one little bit of a potential issue: Jeeps are not known for their ability to resist water and weather conditions, because, I mean, door seals, what are they? So all of this is essentially exposed. Everything is exposed to the elements, which is natural. You know, it's a car. It's supposed to go out and into the open environment. Now, what if you're perhaps not caught up on your electrical engineering skills or even basic electrics? We need to earth or ground, whichever way you want to describe it, our electrics. That is what this screw is originally for. So you've got your seal beam unit in here. I'll go and grab it later. And we've got all of our wires running out of this little hole here, really cute and everything. And they go, you know, all the way down here, and some sort of electrical magicalness happens. But we still need to earth it to the vehicle. That's what this is for. So a little lead goes from the headlight to this screw, and it earths to the headlight holder, which is really groovy. But, and I think some of you might be seeing where I get coming from, the only way this is properly connected to the chassis is through a hinge, which is by its very nature not a fixed mechanical connection, unlike a bolt or even welding or any number of different ways. It is by its very nature able to move, and you know, got a little bit, that's just because of the bolt there not being tightened all the way, but you know, there's a little bit of wiggle room in there. And because we are out in the environment, we might not always get the best connection. Am I being a little pedantic and over the top? Probably. 99.99% of the time this will do. And you know, when you are driving around, you also technically have this as a potential also earth, although remember, this is all paint and then paint, so again, maybe not. And I've been painting around here, so there's a lot of ways that this can fail. What I'm going to do, and again, because I've been altering it to fit the seal beam in, I'm actually just going to feed all the wires out through here, and I am just going to run a little wire, because it's actually going to pop out from there, and I'm just going to poke it and put it onto one of these bolts here. Obviously, when it's all done up nice and tight, and I'll you know, cut just a little bit of paint off it, just to make sure we really get that nice earth, you know, metal to metal contact. And then it's grounded to our front grille, which is bolted directly to our chassis. Everyone is happy. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And because the distance between there and there really doesn't change all that much, in fact it gets objectively shorter, I'm not really going to have any issues. And for those wondering how messy this sort of look after the fact, there's actually a fabric strip which goes over the top. Happy chappy. Everyone's groovy. So yeah, there you go. There's one of my favorite little pieces of potential hidden feature. There you go. Anyway, quickly before we run off, I thought I might just fit the seal beam so you guys can have a look at what will eventually look like in all of its groovy shininess. Also, I kind of needed to put it in there so I can get a nice looking thumbnail. It looks better than the bare nothing of an empty headlight container. So there you go. Anyway, I hope this relatively quick little video goes down nicely. I hope you learned something new. If you didn't, thank you for joining me anyway. Yeah, so really quick little update. Yes, Jeep is going fantastic. Again, we're just waiting on the engine and gearbox to come back, which should be sometime this week, and the Jeep will be done before Christmas, because that is what we promised: a running registered vehicle before Christmas. a groovy little Christmas present. So we're well on the way of hitting that goal. Obviously, since you're in ARV, what are we doing with it at the current time? We've done a quick little test of how to get rid of all the paint just with a needle gun and all that. So, but honestly, we haven't touched it since the last video. We've just been airing it out of all the spiders. I know a lot of people were maybe potentially concerned about the spiders or the snakes in there. Not really. Remember, this has traveled like over 1,000 kilometers to actually get here on a truck. Most of the big stuff has either been rattled out or would have annoyed someone potentially before us. And we're always safe. It's not like, I went in, barefoot or anything. Obviously, wearing the latest and greatest in foot safety. Yeah, and obviously shining a light before stepping into it. So I don't even know why I'm mentioning this. I live in Australia. We know how to deal with these sort of things. But for those of you who do not live in Australia and are concerned, we don't have... I was going to tell a straight up lie there. We do have some of the most dangerous snakes and spiders in the world. But I can almost guarantee most of them are not in that vehicle. Given the fact that the majority of the spiders that we saw, all of the spiders that we saw were big daddy long legs that were of a significant age, like to get, that big for a daddy long legs, they're pretty well established. So, am I an expert on spiders and snakes? No, we're pretty safe with the thing. Always check your boots in the morning if you leave them out. Anyway, don't know where that one's going. Last little tidbit. If you are not aware, I do have my new podcast, Turret Monsters, out. I'm going to link it below. Go and check that one out if you want to hear more tanky goodness and just me and some of my favoriteest people ranting and raving about tanks. Noise is starting up, so we're going to wrap this off really quickly before it gets any louder. Leave a nice little comment down below. Tell me what other groovy little feature on your vehicle or Jeep or tanks you have that I might be able to cover in the future, or even just something that you're very interested in. What you loved about this video, what you didn't like about this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!